In 2016, this eerie picture spread across social media. A woman named Kelly Haynes took a casual selfie in a pub in Blackpool, UK. But when she looked at it later, she noticed something disturbing. Over her shoulder, a face stared back. It wasn't anyone from the bar, and no one had been standing there. The pale face looked like that of a young child, blank, expressionless, almost floating in the darkness behind her. The photo went viral, with many calling it one of the clearest ghost images ever captured. Was it a hoax, or the face of a restless child trapped in the pub forever? This eerie photograph is said to capture the ghost of a man buried miles away from where the picture was taken. Lord Combermere had died tragically in a carriage accident, his legs crushed beyond recognition. Shortly after his funeral, amateur photographer Cybele Corbett decided to take a photo of the library inside Combermere Abbey, the nobleman's residence. While developing the image, a process that took nearly an hour, something unexpected emerged. Sitting in Lord Combermere's favorite armchair was a faint, semi-transparent figure resembling the late Lord himself. Even more disturbing, the apparition had no legs, just a blurry void where they should have been. It was as if his spirit had returned to rest one final time in the very spot he loved most, forever trapped between this world and the next. At first glance, it's just a casual photo of four friends enjoying drinks in a cozy living room. But in the far left corner of the frame, almost hidden by shadow, stands a woman. The man who took the photo later learned that the house once belonged to a woman who had died suddenly, in that very room. He tried many times to recreate the image, to catch the same eerie lighting, but the figure never appeared again. Some say she didn't want to be forgotten. Others believe she just wanted to join them for one last drink. This photograph was taken by a member of a paranormal investigation team from Sacramento during a field trip to Campton Cemetery. Investigators claimed that the image was genuine and had not been altered in any way. In the photo, taken among old headstones, a clear silhouette of a little girl can be seen standing behind one of the monuments. What makes it especially chilling is that the picture was captured in broad daylight, under perfect lighting conditions, when illusions or tricks of shadow should be impossible. At that moment, there were no children or random passers-by anywhere nearby. Many believe the camera captured something that the human eye simply cannot see. At first glance, this photograph looked ordinary, a group of young women smiling for the camera. Photographer Matthew Summers didn't notice anything strange until later. Zooming in, he saw her. Between the legs of the girls on the left stood a small child, expressionless and faded. Her eyes were dark voids, her face ghostly pale. No one remembered seeing a child there. When Matthew asked around, locals told him a girl had died on that very street years before, hit by a carriage while playing. They say her spirit still lingers, appearing only in photos, forever standing among the living, silent and unseen. In 2021, 26-year-old Tyler Caranajos captured a photo at Pine Hill Cemetery in Hollis, New Hampshire, a place known for its grim legends. The chilling image shows a translucent figure standing directly over a grave, its outline faint but unmistakable. Tyler had gone there to visit the resting place of Abel Blood, a man rumored to have been a murderer with ties to the occult. Locals claim Blood's ghost still haunts the cemetery, guarding his grave as if protecting dark secrets he took to the other side. When Tyler reviewed the photo, the air grew cold, and he realized the stories might not have been just rumors after all. This photograph, taken by the father of a little girl, once spread across the internet, shocking thousands. At first glance, it seems ordinary, a child sitting on the floor, playing with her toys. But right in front of her, a pale white shape appears, forming the faint outline of a human figure. Viewers around the world were convinced it was no camera glitch or dust reflection, but the spirit of the girl's late mother, returning to play with her daughter even after death. The figure's posture seems gentle, almost protective, as if watching over the child from another world. What do you think? A coincidence, or proof that a mother's love truly never dies? Write your thoughts in the comments. Over a decade ago, a father took his family camping and brought along his digital camera. The trip was calm, filled with laughter and campfire stories. No one felt uneasy, no strange sensations, until later, when the photos were reviewed. The father, trying to explain it, claimed it must be a lens flare, but everyone who's seen it disagreed. The glow seems to take the form of a person, half turned toward the camera. The family still keeps the photo, though no one likes to look at it for long. Lens flare, or something else that came to watch them that night. During a wedding in Toowoomba, Australia, ghost hunters captured this haunting image, a husband and wife sharing their first dance. The room glows with joy and light, but just to the right of the couple, in a soft beam of light, stands a small girl. Her form is faint, but her face is clear, curious, almost smiling, as if she wants to join in. No one remembered a child being there. No guests were nearby when the picture was taken. Some say she's the spirit of a young girl who once lived on the land where the venue now stands. It's one of the few ghost photos that seems innocent, almost sweet, but no one can be sure. What do you think? A lost child spirit, or just a trick of the camera? The image shows a photograph of John Boulware and another taken after his fatal car accident in 1984. 16-year-old John Boulware died in a tragic car crash in Minnesota when he and 3 of his friends were driving to a Prince concert. After the accident, a police officer took several photographs of the crash site, and in one of them, a ghostly face appeared, said to resemble John himself. The eerie image became known as the Screaming Spirit or the Screaming Soul. The photograph sparked heated debate. Some believe it to be proof of life after death, while others insist it's nothing more than a photographic anomaly, a strange mix of light, reflections, and coincidence. The Waverly Hills Sanatorium in Kentucky opened in 1910, meant to bring hope to tuberculosis patients. Instead, it became a house of death. Over 8,000 souls perished inside, victims of an illness that devoured lungs and sanity. In those days, the only cure was sunlight and air. Most never made it out alive. One nurse, Mary Lee, is said to have caught the disease herself, though others whisper a darker tale. They say she became pregnant by a doctor, and when the secret spread, she was found hanging from the chandelier of room 502. Decades later, a photographer captured her. A pale woman in a nurse's gown, face blank, hands clasped as if praying for forgiveness, drifting through the hallways that once echoed with coughing and screams. Those who visit claim to hear her voice calling softly, "I didn't mean to. I didn't mean to." And if you follow the sound, it always leads to room 502. But no one who's entered that room at night stays for long. According to the photographer, this chilling image was taken during a trip to Yellowstone National Park in 2017. The person behind the camera was photographing wildlife, unaware of the shadow lurking nearby. Later, when the pictures were transferred to a computer, the photographer's father noticed something horrifying. A pale face staring from the car's windshield in the background. Zooming in, one can clearly see hollow eyes and a distorted mouth, as if frozen in an eternal scream. Skeptics call it a trick of light, but those who've seen the photo in person swear the face feels aware, almost as if it's looking right through you. This photo was taken by Adelaide Presbyterian near Corroboree Rock in Australia, a place surrounded by legends and sacred stories. She had only wanted to capture the stunning desert scenery, but when she developed the photo, she froze. Standing among the rocks was a transparent figure. Some said it looked like a priest bowing his head in prayer. Others claimed it was a woman in a white gown with her hands folded against her chest. A few even saw something in the ghost's hands, binoculars or perhaps a camera, as if the spirit was observing her in return. Locals began calling the figure the Watcher. The photo, taken sometime between 1956 and 1959, remains one of Australia's most discussed paranormal images. People say that the land around Corroboree Rock holds restless souls, watchers who never left their post. This photograph was taken in the attic of an old building that, for 10 years, had housed both a home and a restaurant, and before that, it had served as a small theater. Employees had long reported strange sounds, muffled footsteps, sudden drafts of cold air, and fleeting shadows gliding across the walls. One night, a surveillance camera was triggered for no apparent reason and took this shot. In the image, a dark shadow resembling a human figure can be seen standing silently in the corner. Neither that evening nor in the days that followed did anyone enter the attic. Locals still say that the spirit of the old theater never left the building, wandering through the dust and forgotten stage props. In 1959, Mabel Chenery visited her mother's grave. It was a quiet, gray afternoon. On her way home, she snapped a casual picture of her husband sitting behind the wheel, smiling faintly. When she developed the photo later, her blood ran cold. On the back seat, visible through the window, was another face, sharp, ghostly pale, with unmistakable eyes. Mabel's mother, the woman whose grave she had just visited. Experts reviewed the image but found no sign of tampering. For Mabel, the message was clear. Her mother had wanted one last ride home. In 2008, photographer Neil Sandbach was scouting an English farm for a commercial project. It was an ordinary job, until one photograph changed everything. In the corner of a building, barely visible, stood a glowing figure of a small child. Its outline shimmered faintly, like light trapped in mist. When Neil showed the image to the farm staff, several nodded uneasily. They had seen the same glowing boy wandering the property at night. No one knew who he was, only that he appeared near the old barns, silent, watching, and then gone. The Whaley House in San Diego is drenched in tragedy. Countless visitors have claimed to see strange figures and hear footsteps echoing through empty rooms. This particular photo, taken in the living room, shows a faint figure sitting quietly on the couch. The shape appears to be that of a woman wearing old-fashioned clothing, her head slightly bowed. Many believe it to be the ghost of Anna Whaley, the matriarch of the family, who continues to dwell in her home long after her death. Guides say the air in that room is always colder, as if something unseen still occupies the space. Do you believe that spirits can remain where they once lived? In 2012, a young woman lost her twin sister to suicide. Months later, while experimenting with her first smartphone, she snapped sepia-toned photos of her dog for fun. The lighting was dim, the flash reflected oddly off the furniture, nothing seemed out of place. Weeks later, she looked again, and saw a face in the background. It was faint, blurred, but unmistakable. The same soft features, the same eyes. Only this face appeared to be crying, tears streaking down a pale, translucent cheek. Surrounding it were strange orb-like lights and a faint triangular shape, as if something unseen was framing her image. She couldn't explain it. Neither could anyone else. Was it her sister, reaching through the photograph to be seen once more? What do you think? a coincidence, or something far more personal? S. Palmer, fascinated by stories of spirits, once set out to photograph proof of the supernatural. Accompanied by an army officer, he spent the night inside a house known for its hauntings. For hours, nothing happened. No footsteps, no whispers, no movement. Then, around 2:45 a.m., a strange light appeared in one of the rooms. Palmer lifted his camera and took a single photo using the flash. When the film was developed, his hands began to shake. A human figure stood in the glow, clear and undeniable. There had been no one in that room. No one living, at least. Was it a trick of light, or had Palmer captured someone who never left the house? What do you think? Leave your thoughts in the comments. This image was taken by a nurse in the intensive care unit of a Colorado hospital. She was testing the flash in a dark room when she accidentally captured something she couldn't explain. In the photo, an empty chair appears to be occupied by a faint, human-shaped mist, almost like someone sitting, hunched forward, watching quietly. No patients were in that room at the time. Staff members later claimed that several patients who had died there were seen in that same chair in previous photos. Coincidence? Or the spirit of someone who never left the ICU? Simon Barker found an old family photo from 1930, his uncle and the family nanny standing proudly by a wooden shed. But in the shadows behind them, another figure is there. A man, tall, faceless, his clothes too dark, his outline too sharp to be a trick of the light. The nanny, deeply religious, never spoke of it. She hid the photograph for decades. Years later, when the old house was torn down, construction workers discovered something buried under the foundation, a human skeleton, curled up in the dirt right beneath where the photo had been taken. Some say it was the man from the picture. Others believe it was something that used to be a man. The famous tulip staircase ghost photo was taken by Reverend Ralph Hardy, a retired clergyman from British Columbia, in 1966. While visiting the Queen's House in Greenwich, England, a place long rumored to be haunted, he snapped a simple picture of its elegant spiral staircase. When the film was developed, Hardy and his friends were stunned. A pale figure, shrouded in mist, appeared to be ascending the stairs. Upon closer inspection, it seemed the figure was clutching the railing with skeletal hands. Experts, including those from Kodak, examined the image and confirmed it was not tampered with. Some believe the spirit belongs to a maid who fell to her death on those very steps centuries ago. Others think it's something far older, something that's always been there, guarding the silence of the house. A mother and her young daughter were spending a quiet weekend at a summer camp. When night fell, they built a small fire, its glow reflecting on their faces as they laughed and took a few pictures to remember the evening. But once they returned home and looked through the photos, their laughter stopped. In one of the images, inside the heart of the flames, was a face, not a random shape, not smoke, but the clear outline of a man's head. His expression was twisted in agony, and his form looked like he was wearing an old military uniform. The mother believed it might be the ghost of a soldier who had died during World War II, his body never found, his spirit still trapped in the fire that consumed him long ago. Those who saw the photo claimed they could almost feel the heat, and some said that the man's eyes seemed to follow them, like he was still calling out from within the flames. The photograph was taken aboard the legendary ship Queen Mary, long famous for its ghost stories. An elderly man photographed an empty corridor, noticing nothing unusual at the time. But when the image was developed, a chill ran down his spine. In the middle of the long, dimly lit hallway stood a transparent female figure, as if slowly walking away. The shot was taken in a sealed section of the ship, one no tourist had entered that evening. Later, the photo became known as "The Woman in the Corridor," and even skeptics admitted that the image was far too clear and detailed to be dismissed as a random shadow. Photographer Neil Sandbach was scouting locations for a countryside wedding in Hertfordshire. It was peaceful, quiet, perfect for his clients. He took a few test shots around the barn, capturing the light and setting. But later, when he looked at the developed photos, a chill ran down his spine. In one frame, standing by the barn door, was a glowing figure of a young boy in white clothing. His face was blurred, his body faintly transparent. When Neil showed the image to the couple, they fell silent. "We've heard stories," they said, "about a ghost boy who wanders these fields. Some claim he was a farmhand who died centuries ago in an accident. Others say he was buried nearby, never found peace. But since that photo was taken, many refuse to be alone near that barn at night." This eerie photo was taken moments after a fatal car crash. Rising from the wreckage, a faint white mist seems to take human shape, walking slowly away from the crushed vehicle. Many believe the image shows the exact moment a soul left its body, a silent departure caught by accident, lingering between life and death. Another eerie image that quickly gained attention online. The photo shows a man standing in front of his house, but in the window behind him, a shadowy female figure can be seen. Her form is faint but clearly human, standing completely still, watching him. Some say it's just a reflection or trick of the light. Others believe it's the ghost of a woman who once lived there, forever staring out the same window where her life ended. The expression on her pale, indistinct face seems full of sorrow or warning. What could she be watching for? The Hotel Dieu Hospital in Windsor, over a century old, carries a dark history. Nurses have long reported hearing the laughter of a little girl echoing through the halls, even when the children's ward has been closed for decades. 7 years ago, a nurse took a picture inside a treatment room and captured what appears to be a small girl standing in the corner. Her outline is faint, her dress old-fashioned, her face blurred as if caught mid-turn. Security footage confirmed no children had entered the area that night. Yet many staff members claim they've heard her voice, soft, playful, just before lights flicker or doors close on their own. If you ever see her, would you wave back? In Glasgow, artist Tim Sandys was working late in his basement studio, a place that once served as a hospital. The old pipes rattled, the fluorescent lights flickered and buzzed, their sensors unreliable. It was a dark, stormy night, and the halls were empty. Curious about the flickering lights, he began recording slow-motion footage of the corridor. When reviewing the clips, something caught his attention. In several frames, a small figure appeared, a little girl, standing at the far end of the hallway, peering out from behind a door. Her face was barely visible, her outline faint but distinct. The building's history made it worse. The same hallway once led to the children's ward decades ago. Tim tried to reason it away. Maybe someone's child had wandered downstairs. But the way she stood, still, staring, felt far too unnatural. Was it just coincidence? Or did he truly film the ghost of the hospital's past? What do you think? This story comes from Albuquerque, New Mexico. In the winter of 2012, a woman visited her sister for the holidays. Her sister went to the ABQ River of Lights Festival, an annual celebration filled with glowing displays and illuminated pathways. She took dozens of photos that night. But when she came home and connected her USB camera to her brother's computer, one image stood out. In the lower left corner, a faint female silhouette appeared, semi-transparent. as if glowing faintly through the crowd. The strange part, no one remembered anyone standing there. If someone had been in the way, they would have waited or asked her to move. Yet the figure appeared clear as day. So if no one was there, then who was? Coincidence, or something haunting the River of Lights? In 1963, Reverend K. F. Lord captured this now infamous photograph in Newby Church, North Yorkshire. He was documenting the interior of his parish when his camera froze for a moment, a mechanical delay, or something unseen. When the film was developed, the result shocked everyone. Standing beside the altar was a figure in a hooded robe, its face stretched and blurred, the mouth open wide like it was silently screaming. Skeptics claimed it was a double exposure, but experts examined it frame by frame and confirmed this was one single shot. The church was empty that day, and yet the photo remains. An open mouth, a hollow stare. The Reverend never returned to that church after dusk again. This photo was taken inside one of the most haunted castles in the world, Oxford Castle. Built in 1071, the site has seen centuries of torture, executions, and despair. It later served as a prison, housing some of England's most infamous criminals. The photographer states that while exploring the castle's old cells, the room appeared completely empty. Only later, after reviewing the images, a human-like figure could be seen standing in the corridor, pale, blurry, and slightly translucent. Many believe it could be the restless spirit of an executed prisoner, doomed to wander the same cold stone floors for eternity. Even today, visitors claim to feel sudden chills and whispers in the dark when walking through Oxford's haunted hallways. This image appeared on Reddit in 2024. A user posted a picture with the caption, "Please tell me this is your shy daughter." The uploader swore no one else was in the room when the picture was taken. Those who stared at the photo for too long said they felt dizzy or sick, as if something inside the image was staring back. This photograph was taken at the abandoned St. Crispin's Asylum in Northampton, England. The Gothic Victorian building had stood empty since 1995. Its walls were cracked with age, and the upper floors had partially collapsed after a fire. The photographer, shooting the structure under the light of the full moon, later noticed a woman's silhouette in one of the windows, a figure dressed in old-fashioned clothing. There was no floor on that upper level, making it impossible for anyone to stand there. When the photo was enlarged, the woman's face became visible beneath a shawl, with a second, less distinct figure nearby. Many believe these are the spirits of former patients, forever trapped within the asylum's walls. Since the image first appeared online, the building has gained a reputation as one of the most haunted places in England. A visitor to the Ulster Folk and Transport Museum in Northern Ireland took what should have been a harmless picture inside an old train carriage. He was alone, or so he thought. When the photo was developed, two more passengers appeared. One sat to his left, a gaunt man with hollow eyes, staring directly at the camera. The other, on the right, had clearer features and even cast a reflection on the polished floor. Investigators who reviewed the image claimed it was impossible. There was no one else inside, and the lighting made reflections from outside unlikely. The man who took the picture said he no longer rides trains. If they're still traveling, he said quietly, I want no part in their journey. This haunting photograph was taken at Tantallon Castle in Scotland. Behind the iron bars of a crumbling window, a face appeared, pale, dressed in what looked like ancient clothing. Yet at the time the photo was taken, the castle was completely empty and closed to the public. Experts analyzed the image and confirmed it was not a trick of the light or a digital alteration. Curious investigators visited the site to test whether a real person could have been hiding there. The only way to recreate the figure's position would have been for someone to kneel in a narrow stone alcove, a space impossible to reach without breaking in. No intruder was ever found. The castle remains silent, but those who visit say they still feel eyes watching them from the windows. This chilling story comes from the quiet countryside of Kentucky. Local legend tells of a soldier who, in a fit of rage, threw his wife from a bridge into the dark river below. Her body was never recovered. Years later, a photograph was taken near that same bridge, and in it, a faint, floating figure can be seen, resembling a woman dressed in white. Residents claim her spirit still wanders the area, soaked in silence, waiting for someone who never came back. Some say, on foggy nights, her sobs can still be heard under the bridge. What do you think? Is this just a story, or something more? The photo shows an old brick building with white columns and wooden railings. On the second floor, behind one of the glass doors, a faint figure stands in the dark. The shape is almost human, but blurry, as though the reflection itself had come to life. According to locals, tourists took this photo after stopping by what used to be a 19th century hotel. The owner's daughter vanished there long ago. Her body was never found. Since then, people claim her ghost still appears on the balcony, motionless, waiting for those who promised to return. The image remains one of the eeriest ever shared from the area. Do you think she's still waiting? A family was enjoying lunch at the Islamorada Fish Company restaurant in Alabama. 13 people gathered around a long table, adults chatting, children laughing. One photo was taken of a little girl named Hayden, who has Down syndrome. She was turning her head as the picture was taken, creating a small blur. But when they looked closer, everyone fell silent. Behind Hayden's head, a man's faint silhouette appeared. His face was blurred, but his outline was clear. No one had been standing there. No flash, no reflections, no tricks of light. What do you think? Angel, ghost, or something unexplained? A friend sent this image to the uploader, saying he didn't know what to think. The photo was taken late at night in his bedroom. He lived alone. In the picture, a blanket can be seen, and above it, something white, almost human-shaped, leaning over. The faint outline resembles someone sitting on top of the man as he slept. He swore no one else was there, and the house was locked. Yet the form above him looked solid, like a shadow that decided to take shape. Was this just a trick of shadows, or something watching him while he slept? In 1995, Tony Orhilly captured what should have been impossible, a girl standing calmly amid the roaring flames that consumed Shropshire's old administrative building. The inferno was so intense that firefighters couldn't even approach the structure, yet in Tony's photo, a small child stands near the center, her dress untouched, her face expressionless, her gaze locked directly at the camera. Locals were horrified. The girl looked exactly like Jane Churm, a child blamed for accidentally setting fire to her home in 1677. According to legend, her spirit still wanders the area, forever seeking forgiveness. Experts analyzed the photo, even the Royal Photographic Society. No manipulation, no editing, no double exposure. Still, skeptics called it a hoax. But tell that to the firefighters who refused to go near the ruins again, because they swore they saw a child silhouette watching them from the smoke. This photograph, taken in Pennsylvania in 2015, has baffled everyone who's seen it. The photographer explains that his friend was waiting to pick up his sister from work when he noticed movement near the back door of the house. Instinctively, he snapped a picture. When the brightness was adjusted later, the outline of an elderly man holding what appears to be a small dog became visible. The man's face looked sorrowful, his eyes deep and lifeless. Was this the lingering soul of a previous homeowner checking in on his beloved pet? Or simply a reflection from a passing car's headlights? Whatever the truth, The atmosphere of this photo is undeniably unsettling. A family portrait taken in 1930s New Zealand captured more than just smiling faces. In the center of the photo stood a woman no one recognized, pale skin, stiff posture, and long dark hair. Her thin, bony hands rested on the shoulders of those in front of her, yet none of them recalled anyone touching them during the shoot. Years later, one of the children, now an adult, said that his aunt used to see the same woman near her bed as a child. She wore a white dress, she recalled, with a dark brooch on her waist, and her head always tilted slightly, like she was watching me. The resemblance to the woman in the photograph was exact. Whether ghost or trick of the camera, the photo still unnerves everyone who sees it. This photograph was accidentally discovered by a hunter while reviewing old images from motion-activated trail cameras set up on private land in northern Michigan. Out of dozens of shots, only one showed a human-like figure standing in the middle of the forest. If it had been a real person, they would have been caught by nearby cameras as well, but they weren't. The location was several miles from the nearest homes, deep in the wilderness with no roads or cell signal. That night, temperatures had dropped below freezing. The silhouette in the photo stands about the height of a person, covered in something dark and dense, with no visible facial features. The image still sparks debate. Some say it's the ghost of a hunter who died on those lands, while others believe the camera captured something far older and far more mysterious. In 1982, photographer Chris Brackley visited a church in London. The building was quiet, filled with echoing whispers of the past. He took several photos of the interior, empty pews, stone arches, flickering candles. Later, when he reviewed the film, one picture stood out. In the upper loft, where no one had been standing, was a pale, transparent figure, gazing down. Chris confirmed only 4 people were inside the church that day, none near that spot. Experts examined the film. No tricks, no reflections, no double exposure. It was real. In 1924, sailors James Courtney and Michael Meehan, crew members aboard the merchant ship Watertown, died in a tragic steam accident while crossing from New York through the Panama Canal. Their bodies were buried at sea off the coast of Mexico on December 4th. The next day, a sailor shouted that he could see faces in the water. 2 faces, the same men who had just been buried. Over the following days, nearly every crew member, including Captain Keith Tracy, reported seeing the same thing, 2 disembodied faces, drifting just beneath the waves, appearing and fading like ghosts. When the ship docked in New Orleans, the captain was advised to document the phenomenon. He brought a camera aboard, and during the next voyage, the faces returned. Tracy took 6 photos and locked the camera in a safe. Upon reaching New York, the film was developed. 5 of the photos showed nothing unusual, but the 6th revealed the unmistakable faces of Courtney and Meehan, staring from the sea. No editing, no trick. After a new crew took over the Watertown, the faces were never seen again. Easton Cemetery in Connecticut is one of the most haunted burial grounds in the United States. Its ghostly reputation draws curious visitors from all over the country. The image in question appears to show a glowing woman standing among the graves, her long dress trailing like mist. Locals say she's the White Lady, a restless spirit who appears on the nearby roads at night. Many drivers report seeing her suddenly materialize in front of their cars, forcing them to swerve. Some survived to tell the story, others didn't. Those who've seen her face describe it as lifeless and sorrowful, as if mourning something she can never reclaim. What was she looking for that night? Taken in 2019 in Gatlinburg, Tennessee, this photo shows a couple smiling at dinner. The lighting is warm, cozy, nothing strange about it at first glance. But behind them, something is wrong. A face appears pale, blurred, eyes hollow. It doesn't match anyone in the room, and no one remembers anyone standing there. What do you think it was? This old photograph depicts Newton D. Baker, the U.S. Secretary of War, with his wife and children. It looks like an ordinary family portrait, until you notice the faint ghostly blur standing behind them. The image was made using a glass negative, a process known for strange chemical reactions that sometimes distorted the photo's surface. Some believe the mysterious figure appeared because of a flaw in the glass. Others say it looks too defined, too human, to be an accident. Was it just a technical error, or something, or someone, who wanted to be remembered alongside the family? What do you think this figure really is? The old Kennesaw House in Marietta, Georgia, has long been considered one of the city's darkest corners. Back during the Civil War, its rooms echoed with the moans of the wounded and the dying screams of soldiers. The building served as both a hospital and a morgue at the same time. Today, it houses the Marietta History Museum, but the atmosphere of the past seems to linger. One of the most famous photographs taken in the museum seems to pull viewers out of reality. A ghostly figure can be seen standing in the dim light of the hall. Its outline is blurry, yet distinct enough to send chills down your spine. Museum staff claim that strange footsteps and quiet voices are often heard in this spot, and the halls can suddenly grow icy, even on the hottest days. The photo became a sensation. Many visitors say that looking at it makes them feel another presence, as if someone is standing right behind them. The history of a building once filled with death continues to whisper through the centuries, and this image is just one of its reminders. A quiet suburban night, a sleeping baby, and a camera meant to bring peace of mind, until it didn't. When the parents reviewed the footage, they froze. On the screen, hovering near the crib, was a faint white shape, humanoid, shifting, watching. It leaned over their child, its head bending at an unnatural angle, as if whispering into the baby's ear. "I told my wife it had to be a glitch," the father said. But then it turned its head and looked straight at the camera. The video is gone now. They deleted it the next morning, but the wife says she still hears breathing through the baby monitor, even when it's unplugged. A woman staying in a roadside motel took this photograph moments before settling in for the night. She sent it to her family to let them know she was safe. But when her relatives viewed the image, they immediately noticed something horrifying. Reflected in the mirror behind her was the faint outline of a face that did not belong to her. The woman swore she had been completely alone in the room. Terrified, she packed her belongings and left immediately. To this day, she refuses to reveal which motel it was, claiming she still dreams of that same mirror and the watching face within it. In 1967, Harry Dagg took a simple photo of his grandson, Neil, holding the family dog in the backyard. It was a peaceful afternoon, sunlight filtering through the trees. But when he developed the picture, there was someone else standing behind them. A pale woman with hollow eyes stared directly at the boy. Her old-fashioned dress looked like something from another era, her face distant and lifeless. No one in the family recognized her. Experts later examined the photo and found no sign of double exposure or editing. Some believed the woman was the spirit of an elderly neighbor who had died years before, a woman who had never known the warmth of a family. The dog appeared calm in the image, though many believe animals can sense the dead. Neil had no idea that something, or someone, was standing inches behind him that day. This photograph was taken across the street from an old abandoned house that local teenagers had set on fire. The flames consumed the building within minutes. Several witnesses claimed they heard someone screaming for help, but firefighters found no one inside the charred ruins. Later, one of the witnesses noticed a dark human-shaped silhouette in the photo, faintly visible through the smoke. The figure appeared motionless, as if staring directly into the camera. Many are convinced the image captured the soul of someone who perished in that house long ago, a person who never received help when they needed it most. The Decibel Hotel in Romania had stood abandoned for years, its walls crumbling and its silence oppressive. Locals avoided it, claiming a tall woman roamed the halls, a spirit guarding the ancient Roman treasures buried beneath the foundation. In 2008, Victoria Iovan entered the hotel with her boyfriend, camera in hand. She took photos of the grand staircase, the cracked walls, the fading murals. Later, at home, she noticed something impossible. Behind her boyfriend stood a translucent woman, tall and regal, wearing a flowing white gown. Her face was serene, but her eyes, empty. Victoria said it looked like a priestess, a guardian of the past. Experts tried to debunk the image, but nothing could explain the figure's presence. Since then, explorers who've entered the Decibel Hotel claim to hear soft footsteps following them, even when they're completely alone. On October 30th, 2018, around 6:15 p.m., Dave Newnham was inspecting footpaths near the Delago Bridge in Ceredigion, Wales, when he saw a woman standing motionless in the river Wystwyth. Concerned she might be in danger, he approached, but quickly realized something was terribly wrong. The figure was unnaturally still, her pale reflection trembling on the surface of the water. When Dave tried to call out, she simply dissolved into the mist. Shocked, he raised his camera and managed to take one photo before she vanished completely. Later, he would tell investigators, "I thought she needed help, but she wasn't human." A family photograph turned into a nightmare when a woman captured her nephews playing in the living room. Later, when the image was enlarged, a dark face appeared, staring at the children from the screen of the turned-off television. Its left side was shrouded in shadow, its expression empty yet unnervingly human. There was nothing in the room that could have created such a reflection. Later, the family learned that the previous owner of the house had taken his own life there. The photo remains one of the most disturbing ever shared online, as if the man's spirit was still trying to be seen. What do you see in the reflection? In 2012, a student on a school photo trip took dozens of pictures of trees, leaves, and fog. Later that evening, while reviewing the shots, one photo stood out. Between two bushes appeared a dark, humanoid form, a torso, without visible legs, half faded into the background. No one remembered anyone standing there when the shot was taken. Some suggested it was just a play of light and shadow, others swore they could see a faint face. Even the trees seemed to bend slightly around the figure, as if it was actually standing there. Was it an illusion caused by the forest's light, or something watching from the other side of the lens? What do you see when you look at it? This eerie photograph, taken in an Irish linen workshop, first appeared online in 2015 after being added to the Getty Images collection. At first glance, nothing appears strange, just a group of factory workers posing for a picture. But look closely at the woman seated furthest to the right. There's a hand resting gently on her shoulder, a hand that shouldn't be there. None of the other workers are standing near enough to place it. The angle doesn't fit anyone in the frame. It's simply there, pale, defined, human. Was it a trick of exposure, or did something unseen join the women for their portrait that day? What do you think? Coincidence, or something reaching out from beyond? This photograph belongs to Chloe Marie Powell Hughes. She shared that one night, while repainting her kitchen, she took a picture to show her mom the progress. The wall was still wet from fresh paint, nothing unusual at first glance. But when she looked closer, a faint human shape appeared against the wet surface. It wasn't dust or a reflection, it looked like a transparent figure hovering midair, as if gliding out of the wall itself. She hadn't seen it with her own eyes, only through the camera lens. So was it a paint trick, or something hiding in plain sight? At the Eagles Club in the US, a group of friends gathered for drinks, laughter, and music, a harmless evening. Later, one of them snapped a quick picture. Days later, while showing it to a friend, the woman holding the phone stopped mid-sentence. Behind her, a figure stood in the background. Gray skin, hollow eyes, mouth stretched into something between a smile and a snarl. "I didn't see anyone behind me," she said. But everyone else in the photo insisted the same thing. No one was standing there. Locals now call it the guest. And those who visited the club late at night claim they sometimes feel a cold breath on their neck, and hear the faint sound of someone whispering, "Say cheese." Julie Hogarth Williams shared this chilling photograph, claiming it might reveal the spirit of her late father. He had died at 52, 5 years before the birth of her son. Julie always believed her father's presence remained close, watching over her children. In this picture, taken in her living room, the reflection on the TV screen shows a ghostly face pressing a hand against the glass. The ring on the finger matches the wedding band her father wore until his death. Paranormal experts who reviewed the image described the details as too defined to be a coincidence. Whether comforting or terrifying, this picture is one of the most convincing pieces of spectral evidence ever captured in a domestic setting. This photo was taken by a doctor in Bolivia. At the moment of taking the picture, the elevator doors opened and there was no one inside. But then when they saw the photo, "Who's in there?" This photograph, taken inside an old church, has long been regarded as one of the most mysterious images ever captured. After examining the photo, paranormal researcher Brad Steiger declared that no living person could have been inside the building at the time. The picture clearly shows the silhouette of a priest standing near the altar, as if reciting a prayer into the emptiness. Locals claim that this same figure has appeared before, especially at the hours when the church bells begin to ring on their own. Some believe it is the spirit of a clergyman who died within the church's walls and continues to perform his sacred duties for souls long departed. In one scene, actor Ted Danson stands by a window, and just behind the curtain, a young boy appears, pale and expressionless, staring straight into the camera. Danson swore no such boy was present, and neither the director nor the crew recalled hiring a child actor. The room had been empty, at least, it was supposed to be. The image of the boy, half hidden but unmistakable, chilled everyone who saw it. Some say it was the spirit of a child who once lived in the building before it became a film set. Others believe it was something darker, something drawn to the energy of the production. Whatever it was, that haunting little face burned itself into cinematic history, a ghost that managed to sneak into Hollywood. The man who took this photo insisted that no one was standing in the doorway of his new family home in Chicago when he pressed the shutter. Yet the picture tells a different story. Two shapes appear in the open door, the figure of an elderly woman and the faint outline of a dog at her side. Their forms are hazy, but their presence undeniable. Some believe they were former residents of the property, returning to what was once theirs. Others think they were simply passing through, caught between worlds for a single moment, long enough to be seen, then gone again. This photograph was taken in 2003 inside an abandoned tuberculosis hospital that operated from 1926 to 1961. The building had long been a source of local fear. Creaking doors, whispers in the halls, cold spots where no draft could reach. In the photo, two women stand posing for the camera, unaware of what's behind them. Through the cracked window, a dark figure can be seen staring directly at them. The floor level makes it impossible for anyone to have been standing there from outside. Investigators later confirmed there was no one else in the building that night. Was it one of the long-dead patients, still watching from behind the glass? A few years ago, an older woman from a quiet mountain town went hiking on her usual trail, a narrow path winding through the woods, far from any nearby homes or roads. She often went alone, finding peace in the sound of the wind through the trees. That day seemed no different. She stopped to take a few photos, the sunlight through the branches, the distant peaks, and later, she posted them on Facebook. At first, no one noticed anything unusual. Then, people began commenting, asking who the person walking behind her was. Confused, she looked again, and froze. In the background stood a pale, distant figure, tall and motionless, almost blending into the trees. The shape wasn't there when she took the photo. No hikers had passed her. Was it a trick of light? A stranger in the woods? Or something that was never meant to be seen? What do you think? Coincidence, or something haunting that mountain trail? An old, faded photograph discovered in a grandmother's house shows a small church from decades ago. Its windows reflect the cloudy sky, except one. In that window stands a man, but no one remembers him ever being there. Was he the minister who once served in that church? Or a spirit bound to the place where he preached long ago? The photo remains a mystery, a moment frozen between time and eternity. What do you think? A living man, or a glimpse into the past that refused to fade? A security camera in a private home captured something difficult to explain. The footage shows a staircase shrouded in shadows, and next to it, a shape that looks neither like a person nor a trick of the light. The indistinct figure seems to peek from behind the railing, watching someone invisible. The homeowners insist that no one was downstairs that evening. In the days that followed, they began noticing strange sounds, soft rustling, faint footsteps on the stairs, and barely audible breathing in the dark. Some who have seen this photo are convinced it's the ghost of someone who remained in the house after a tragedy long forgotten. Others believe the camera simply caught a reflection or overlapping shadows. But everyone who has watched this footage agrees on one thing. There is something disturbingly alive about that figure. It's as if it knows it's being watched, and is waiting for someone to come down the stairs again. During the infamous 1970s investigation of the Amityville horror house, paranormal researchers Ed and Lorraine Warren set up an infrared camera in the hallway. It recorded all night, empty frames, shadows, stillness. Except for one. At exactly 3:15 a.m., the camera captured the image of a boy peeking out from the second-floor bedroom doorway. His eyes glowed white in the infrared light, his expression blank, and his body half-transparent. The Warrens believed it was the spirit of John DeFeo, one of the children murdered in that very house. Skeptics say it was a living investigator caught mid-frame. But if you look closely, you'll notice something strange. The boy's eyes reflect light. Dead eyes don't do that. So if it wasn't human, then what was standing there, staring down the hallway? This unnerving photo was captured by a paranormal explorer during an urban exploration trip to an abandoned facility rumored to have a haunted morgue. According to the photographer, after taking a series of shots, one particular image made his blood run cold. On his computer screen, the faint face of a woman could be seen in the center of the frame, grinning unnaturally wide, with hollow eyes and a smile reminiscent of the Cheshire Cat. Shocked, he removed his headphones and sent the picture to friends, all of whom saw the same thing. The location has since gained a dark reputation among local ghost hunters, who claim the morgue's refrigeration room still echoes with muffled cries when the lights go out. This old family photograph from the 1950s looks ordinary at first. Two women sit at a dinner table, each holding a smiling child on her lap. Candles flicker softly, bathing the room in warm light. But once the photo was developed, a horrifying shape appeared above them, the upside-down figure of a person hanging from the ceiling. Where its face should have been was only a black void, absorbing the candlelight around it. Analysts found no trace of editing or damage to the film. Those who have seen the original print say the darkness seems to move when stared at too long, as if the figure is still there, suspended in time. The house where the photo was taken was later abandoned. Neighbors say lights can still be seen flickering inside. This photo was taken in 1946 in Queensland, Australia. Mrs. Andrews had come to the cemetery to visit the grave of her daughter Joyce, who had died at the age of 17. She decided to take a photo of the headstone to preserve the memory. When the film was developed, a small smiling boy appeared in the image, sitting by the grave and looking directly into the camera. There were no children anywhere near the area at the time of the photo. Mrs. Andrews insisted that the child could not be the spirit of her daughter. Joyce had been nearly grown when she passed away. The photograph gained worldwide attention as one of the most convincing images of a child's ghost ever taken, and it continues to spark debate among paranormal researchers to this day. Behind Diana, something pale sat silently in the pews, a ghostly woman draped in white, her small hat tilted slightly to the side, her clothes from another century. The photo captured her perfectly, though no one remembered seeing anyone there. When Diana and her husband returned to the church the next summer, they questioned the staff, asking if anyone had ever seen a woman like that. The priest hesitated, then spoke of the White Lady, known among locals as the Healer. According to legend, she appears beside those in need of recovery, sometimes to comfort, sometimes to warn. Diana remembered she had been sick during that time, unable to shake a strange illness. After that visit, she recovered completely. The mysterious woman behind her was never seen again, but the image remains a haunting reminder that perhaps something, or someone, had been watching over her. This photograph was taken of a window in the old courthouse building in Alabama. At first glance, it looks like dirt or a stain on the glass, until you notice the unmistakable outline of a man's face. Locals claim it belongs to Henry Wells, a slave who once hid in the courthouse to escape a lynch mob. He was caught and killed, but his terrified image is said to have burned itself into the window. Decades of cleaning and replacing the glass never made it disappear. The face always returns, staring out at those who dare to look too long. A group of paranormal investigators was invited to explore an old, abandoned hotel in Arkansas. The building had a dark history, mysterious deaths, strange sounds, lights flickering without reason. During their investigation, they took a series of photos in one of the hallways. In one frame, a tall, human-like shape appeared at the far end of the corridor. The figure looked translucent, almost fading into the walls, yet distinctly humanoid. None of the team members had been near that spot. Some say it was the ghost of a drifter who died there long ago, still searching for the room he never found. What was really standing there that night? At first, nothing seemed strange about this late-night photo. Someone was simply checking whether the door was locked before bed and snapped a picture in the dark. But in the morning, when they looked closer, a pale face appeared behind a heavy curtain. The features are barely visible, eyes hollow, mouth faintly open, as if someone was watching from the darkness where the light couldn't reach. According to local lore, a woman once lived in that house and vanished without a trace. Since her disappearance, residents have reported glimpses of her, silent, staring from behind the curtains. Was it coincidence? A trick of the shadows? Or the last remnant of a restless spirit still watching from the dark? What do you think? Leave your thoughts in the comments. This photograph was taken in 1987 using a 35mm camera, purely by chance, on the anniversary of a tragic death. The photographer didn't know the story of Sue Howard Hardy, a woman who died nearly a century earlier, shortly after her child was stillborn. He wasn't seeking ghosts. He simply captured a picture of an old grave. But when the film was developed, a faint, translucent figure of a woman appeared near the tomb. She seemed to be mourning, head bowed, hands clasped. It was taken exactly 99 years after her death. Experts examined the photo and confirmed it hadn't been altered. Many believe it shows Sue herself, still grieving the child she never got to hold. What do you think? Coincidence, or proof that love and sorrow never fade? This photograph was taken 9 years ago in a rented house. The girl who took it said there was absolutely nothing behind her, just an empty hallway. Even her dog, sitting nearby, was staring at the same direction. When she looked closer, she froze. Behind her, a pale, human-shaped figure seemed to stare directly into the camera. Its eyes were pitch black, hollow, as if missing entirely. She swore she was home alone that night. So, who, or what, was standing there? What do you think? A trick of light, or something truly watching her? In 1959, Reverend R.S. Blanche visited the rocky cliffs of Corroboree, Australia, a sacred site known for strange lights and sudden whispers that come from the stone itself. He took a single photograph of the landscape. When the film developed, there she was, a tall figure in white standing at the cliff's edge, staring out toward the desert. Locals call her the Watcher. Some see a woman in a nightgown, others say she's wearing the robes of an ancient priest. But all who've looked upon her photo describe the same detail, the faint trace of a shadow that doesn't align with the sun. Reverend Blanche swore he was alone that day. Yet even in death, she remains, frozen between worlds, watching, waiting. This disturbing image was taken on Christmas Eve 12 years ago. The photographer's young son was playing near the tree when the photo was taken. Later that night, while scrolling through the pictures, the father froze. Behind the boy was a pale, skeletal hand reaching out toward him. There was no one else in the house at the time, only the father and child. His wife was out shopping. The image was sent to her immediately, and she confirmed it. The hand didn't belong to anyone living. Experts have analyzed the photo, but none could explain the unnatural angle of the fingers or the faint, almost transparent texture of the skin. Many who've seen the image say they felt as though something cold brushed against their own shoulder. The authenticity of this photo has been debated for decades. The photographer claimed he was documenting a dying man's final moments. But when the film was developed, 3 glowing orbs floated above the man's body. Some dismissed them as dust or fingerprints on the lens. Others insisted they were something far more mysterious, the man's soul, captured in the moment it left his body. Paranormal researchers have compared it with other so-called death photos, where orbs or streaks of light seem to rise upward just as life fades away. Skeptics call it coincidence. Believers call it proof that the soul can be seen. A woman from the United States claimed that strange things were happening in her home. footsteps in empty rooms, whispering voices, and sudden bursts of cold air. One evening, her husband took a photo in their living room. At that moment, they were the only two people in the house. When they looked at the picture, they noticed the figure of a small girl in the window behind them, semi-transparent, as if made of mist. Her face bore an expression of silent anticipation, her eyes fixed directly on the camera. The figure appeared in only one photograph and was never seen again. The couple eventually sold the house, but the new owners claimed that, at night, the faint reflection of a child could still be seen in the windows. Jim Templeton had only wanted a quiet day with his wife and daughter by the water. He took a few pictures of his little girl smiling in the grass, nothing out of the ordinary. But when the film came back, his heart froze. Behind her stood a tall, white figure, looming silently. It looked almost human, yet its proportions and stance were wrong. The face was blurred, but the shape resembled a helmet. Kodak examined the film, confirming it was untouched. No double exposure, no manipulation. News spread quickly, and people called the figure the Solway Firth spaceman. Some said it was a time traveler, others, an otherworldly visitor. Jim swore no one else was there. The marshlands were empty. To this day, the photo remains unexplained, a moment of something impossible caught forever on film. In Louisiana, there stands a plantation said to be home to at least a dozen ghosts, most believed to be the spirits of enslaved people who once lived and died there. In one photograph, taken by a visitor during a tour, a distant figure can be seen standing in the shadows of a field. The outline is tall and distinctly male, yet the photographer swore no one else was there. Paranormal investigators later confirmed that the spot where the figure appeared aligns with the graves of several workers buried without markers. Even now, guests report footsteps in the grass, whispers near the trees, and a cold presence that seems to follow them back to their cars. In the woods of Georgia, a family discovered an abandoned hunting cabin. They decided to take a few photos before leaving. During the shoot, one family member suddenly felt a rush of cold air pass by, though there was no wind. Later, when they looked through the pictures on their computer, they noticed a dark, fast-moving figure crossing the frame. Experts insisted it was simply a human caught mid-motion, blurred by low light. But believers saw something else. A translucent form with no clear edges, glowing faintly against the trees. Some say it might be the spirit of a hunter who vanished in those woods decades ago. What do you think? Camera trick or ghost caught in motion? It was taken in 2016, two brothers standing at the front of Blackpool Beach early one morning, the sun barely rising. Their mother snapped the photo, proud of her sons. Everything seemed normal, but when she zoomed in later, her smile vanished. Between the boys' legs, a small dark shape stood, too solid to be a shadow, too still to be human. They looked around the beach immediately after, but no one was there. The sand was untouched. The tide quiet. Some say the photo shows a lost child who drowned near that very spot years ago. Others claim it's just a trick of the light. What do you think? A camera glitch, or something still wandering the shore? Hospitals are unsettling places at night, filled with echoes and dim, endless corridors. This photo was taken at Leeds General Infirmary by Andrew Milburn, a man who never believed in ghosts. One evening, he snapped a quick picture in a hallway to show his girlfriend where he was working. Nothing strange about that. But when he looked closer, his blood ran cold. In the photo, a faint white figure appears, a nurse, or perhaps a child, rushing into a room at the end of the corridor. No one else was in the hospital wing that night. No alarms, no movement detected. Just silence. Andrew's skepticism vanished after that. He'd seen the impossible. What do you think? The ghost of a former patient, or a trick of the light? This final image was taken by clinic staff and quickly spread online. At first glance, it shows nothing unusual, just an empty wheelchair in a hallway. But when you look at the floor's reflection, a faint human figure appears standing right beside it. No one was in the frame when the photo was taken. No shadows matched the shape. Many believe it's the spirit of a patient who once used that chair, still waiting to be moved one last time. Could this be proof that even reflections remember the dead? Freddie Jackson served as an aircraft mechanic in Britain's Royal Air Force during World War I. In 1919, he was killed instantly by the spinning propeller of an aircraft. Days later, during his squadron's group photo aboard the HMS Daedalus, Freddie appeared again, standing right behind one of his friends, his pale face visible over the man's shoulder. The photo wasn't developed until after the funeral, and every member of the crew recognized him. No one could explain it. Perhaps Freddie simply refused to miss the picture. Or maybe, the dead don't always realize they've died. When the image resurfaced in 1975, long after the war, it sent chills through everyone who saw it. Because the eyes in that photo, they weren't empty. They looked alive. And they were still looking straight at the camera. The final image on this list was captured by a security camera in a private residence. The owner claims to have been reviewing footage after an alarm was triggered in the middle of the night. What appeared on the screen made their blood run cold, a transparent silhouette standing motionless in the corner of the room, visible for only a few seconds before vanishing into thin air. When investigators checked the area the next morning, there were no signs of entry, no footprints, no explanation. To this day, the homeowner insists that what was caught on camera wasn't human, but something else, something that watched and waited. A Canadian family vacationing in Japan took a photo at a quiet beach near an old samurai burial ground. Nothing seemed unusual at the time, just picture with the sea. But later, when one of their friends uploaded the image to Reddit, people began noticing something disturbing. The shape was faint but unmistakable, traditional samurai armor. Out of 5 photos taken in the same spot within minutes, the legs appeared in only one. No one else had been near them that day. Locals believe the spirits of fallen samurai still guard the coast, bound to the land where they died centuries ago. Maybe the camera caught one keeping watch, silent, unseen, but always present. This photograph was taken in a nursing home shortly after one of the residents had passed away. Just minutes before the photo was taken, staff members heard doors opening and closing and saw a call light flicker on and off, even though the room was empty. About 15 minutes after the man's death, someone walked down the hallway and snapped a picture. In the image, a dark figure can be seen standing at the far end of the long, empty corridor. The shadow appears to be staring directly into the lens. After this incident, strange occurrences became common. Doors would open by themselves. The faint smell of medicine lingered in the air, and some residents claimed they saw a man slowly walking down the corridor, the same one captured in the photograph. This image, taken by police officers, shows a dark house in Gary, Indiana, the home of Latoya Ammons and her children. In the photo, a figure can be seen in the right window, solid, human-shaped, staring out. Officer Austin Gary didn't believe in ghosts at first. He thought the story was another attempt to make headlines. But after visiting the home, interviewing witnesses, and snapping a few photos, he changed his mind. Neighbors claimed they heard screams and footsteps at night, long after the house was empty. Even the police dog refused to enter. The air felt thick and cold, and the moment Austin reviewed the photo, he whispered, "Now I believe." The house was later demolished, but locals still say they see lights moving inside the empty lot, long after midnight. In 1916, retired Scotland Yard Inspector Arthur Springer took a photograph in Tinchwick, Buckinghamshire. At the moment the shutter clicked, there was no dog in the frame, yet when the film was developed, the translucent shape of a dog stood clearly in the image. Its body was faint, its eyes dark and sorrowful. Locals whispered that Springer had captured the spirit of a loyal hound that died decades earlier but continued to wander the fields where it once lived. Some claimed the photo was a mere optical illusion. Others insisted it was proof that not all souls, even animal ones, find peace. The final image in this collection was taken inside an old church in France using a simple film camera. The photographer, a studio technician with 10 years of experience, said he had never seen anything like it. In the photo, a shadowy figure seems to walk directly through the church doors, holding something bright in its hands, perhaps a candle or something far stranger. The woman who had ordered the photo prints was so terrified when she saw the image that she refused to collect them, leaving the picture, and the mystery, behind. The church has since been closed to the public, but locals claim lights still flicker behind its sealed doors at night. What do you think? Was it just a trick of the camera, or something that was never meant to be seen? Late one evening, a store employee and her manager were closing up when they decided to take a quick picture near the self-checkout. Moments later, a strange sound echoed through the aisles, a tone that wasn't from any alarm or phone. The checkout light suddenly turned on by itself. They left immediately. Later, when reviewing the photo, a dark human-shaped shadow could be seen standing beside one of the empty registers. Its proportions were wrong, elongated, distorted. When the image was brightened, the shape became even clearer, as though it was watching them. Was it a trick of lighting, or did something decide to stay behind after closing hours? What do you think was standing there? During a summer trip to Bilbao, Spain, a tourist entered the Cathedral de Santiago and began taking photos of its interior. The light was warm, the air still. Nothing seemed unusual until later, back at the hotel. In the center of one photo, a ghostly figure appeared, the faint image of a man with a beard and solemn eyes, hovering just above the floor. Some said it resembled St. James, the church's patron. Even more curious, a glowing orb floated near the figure's chest, right at the center of the image. Was it a miracle, or a message from something divine, or something else entirely? What do you think was captured in this sacred place? He thought it would be a quick visit to his friend's attic, dusty boxes, spiderwebs, nothing unusual. But when he raised his phone to snap a picture, he captured something else. At first glance, it's just a doorway, a shadowed frame leading into a cluttered room filled with forgotten furniture. But when you look closer, in the upper left corner of the doorway, there's something. A pale, distorted face, eyes too dark, mouth slightly open, like it was frozen mid-scream. When he increased the brightness later, the shape became horrifyingly clear. The hollow eyes, the faint outline of a body hanging in the dark behind the doorframe. He swore he was alone. Now, the attic stays locked, even the owners refuse to go up there. And those who have looked at the photo say the same thing. Once you see it, it's already looking back at you.
Two lost punks just running through the back streets, sitting through the back streets. Two lost punks just running through the back streets, sitting through the back streets. Guess who's lit, guess who's raw, kick that door, break that law. Guess who's wild, guess who's out, guess who's foul, guess who's proud, guess who keep to shut shit down.